Roberta Sanders here. I serve as the operations manager at Casas por Cristo, and I know you have questions about the arrival and departure process coming up for your trip to Juárez, and I'm here to help explain what that will be like for you. So arrival and departure in our Juárez, Mexico location can look different based on the method of transportation you choose to get here. You can either fly or drive, but either way, whatever method you choose, your Casas missionary will meet you here on the U.S. side of the border, and they will be with you every step of the way. Be sure to listen to your missionary and ask them any questions you have. If you plan to fly, you're going to use the El Paso International Airport for your arrival and departure, airport code ELP. And from there, you'll need to rent vans. You can either rent vans through Casas por Cristo or through another agency here in town. If you rent vans from Casas por Cristo, your missionary will be sure to have them parked and ready for you upon your arrival. Your Casas missionary will contact your team leader prior to your arrival to decide on a place to meet up. That could be at your hotel, it could be at the airport, or it could be here at our Casas por Cristo headquarters. Either way, once your missionary is scheduled to meet you, we do expect all of your team to be present at that time, and you will stay together as a team for the entire duration of your mission trip. Now let's talk about crossing the border. Before you guys get in the vans to cross the border into Mexico, your Casas missionary will give you some brief instructions on what to do. So be sure to listen and follow those instructions carefully to make sure it's a smooth process. Your Casas missionary will lead your team caravan style through the port of entry. Each port of entry looks pretty similar. It looks like a bridge with a toll booth on one side, and on the other side there's a barrier arm with a stoplight, and there will be border agents there known as aduanas. Here in El Paso, we have multiple points of entry to cross the border into Mexico, but each one has a border toll of about $2 to $3 per vehicle, so whoever's driving your vehicle will need to have a few dollars handy to pay that toll when they cross. Once you've crossed the bridge and get to that access barrier arm on the other side, you will see a stoplight. You will receive either a green light or a red light. If it's a green light, you can go right on into Mexico without stopping. If it's a red light, however, you do need to pull over into secondary for a routine inspection of your vehicle. Don't worry, this process is totally normal, especially for larger vehicles. You don't need your passport unless specifically asked by the border agents, so we do ask that you keep your passports handy just in case. There are a few items that are not allowed into Mexico. You can do a quick Google search for a complete list, but I do want to mention a few here in this video. The first one is firearms and some knives, so please leave any guns and ammo, weapons at home. Next, you are not allowed to bring drugs into Mexico that are illegal in Mexico. Some prescription drugs that are okay in the US are not legal in Mexico, so you do need to make sure before you cross the border that your prescriptions are allowed to cross the border. Also, please do not bring any drugs that are illegal in Mexico, including medical marijuana. And finally, electronic cigarettes are not allowed, so please leave them at home. Next, let's talk about your exit from Mexico. When it's time for you to cross the border back into the US, it will look a lot like you're crossing into Mexico with one primary difference. You will absolutely need your passport in order to cross the border. So please have your documentation handy. We do recommend that the person driving the van collect all of the passports and documents from everybody in their vehicle to hand to the border agent. When you get up to the border agent, they may ask a few questions like, where have you been? What have you been doing? What was the purpose for your stay in Mexico? Please answer those questions politely and as accurately as possible. Once you get back on the US side of the border, you will either begin your drive home, go to your lodging in El Paso for the evening, or make your way back to the airport. Please see your Juárez trip guide for additional information about your arrival and departure. If you have any questions, feel free to contact our team coordinators here in the office, and we're happy to help. Thank you so much for listening, and we'll see you on the worksite.